Hi, this is Marcus Guiliano from Aroma Thyme Bistro. You can find me at healthychefdude.com or healthconsciousfood.com. So, I'm a huge fan of wild salmon, and specifically wild Alaskan salmon. And most of the salmon that's on the supermarket shelves and in restaurants is going to be farmed Atlantic salmon or farm salmon. And CNN had a great post on it on January 8th, 2010, on the health benefits far outweigh the wild salmon. The health benefits far outweigh the farm salmon. And this was great of them to actually expose this and put this on national media. Well, the National Fish Institute is firing back and saying that this is all false. And there is no such thing, or this is exaggerated, the dioxins and PCBs and the contaminants that are actually in the farm salmon. I've been personally studying salmon for the last 12 years. Been reading all the reports, I've been following all the gurus on the wild salmon versus the farm salmon. I've written a lot of articles on it. I have a lot of stuff out there on the internet on it. That is so false. There's no way that farmed salmon will ever duplicate what the wild salmon duplicate. They don't eat the right diet. They can't swim. It's not the same thing. They're cramped together in pens. It's like cattle are put into feedlots. Salmon are put into pens in the ocean. They all live together. They're fed. Because they're close confines, they get sick. They have to start giving antibiotics. They're not even the color that they are. The reason why you get the salmon in the store that's orange like it looks like is they have to add coloring to the food to get it to that color. That's the first signal. If they have to dye it some artificial way, it's not getting its proper nutrients. We are what we eat. We know that. There's no doubt about it. Everybody in the world knows this. We are what we eat. If salmon's the same thing. It's no different. They are what they eat. If they're not eating the proper nutrients, they don't have the proper nutrients. Where does the calcium come from in cow? It comes from the grass. Why can't we get our calcium from grass and greens? Same principle. At Aroma Thyme, we only serve wild Alaskan salmon. And I'm a firm believer of this. I like salmon. I love salmon. But you go to your doctor says, get some salmon. You go to the grocery store and you think you're doing all these goods. Farmed salmon does not nearly have the amount of omega-3s. It has all of the dioxins, PCBs that are mentioned on the CNN report and on other articles. The reason why the wild salmon get this is they're eating something called krill. And they're eating marine phytoplankton, which is loaded. The krill actually eat the marine phytoplankton too, and that's where they're getting it from, because they are what they eat. We all are what we eat. So the salmon gets something called anisacitin, which is a super beta-carotenoid antioxidant, one of the strongest antioxidants out there. And they're in turn passing this on the food chain to us. This is why salmon is good for us. So that's the elements of salmon that are good. So when you go to a restaurant, make sure you speak up and say you want wild salmon. And don't let them fool you. Jamie and I went out to a major chain restaurant that has a wholesale company attached to it out of the Boston area. And they said to us one time, oh, we have tonight's special is this wild Alaskan salmon. I looked at Jamie and I said, that's not right, because salmon's not in season right now. Or actually the salmon that was in season was ocean caught trawl. The price was way up. For the price that they were selling it for, I knew that was not the case. After the meal, I said to the waitress, I said, I would have actually ordered the salmon if I would have 100% believed that what you told me, where it was from, is the actual case. She said, oh, it is. And I said, well, I know, and salmon's not in season right now for the price that you're getting it and putting on the plate. After 15 minutes of research with the chef manager in the kitchen and going through their paperwork and their emails from corporate, she came back and she actually apologized to me and said, sir, you're absolutely right. I was mistaken tonight. It's not the salmon that we say we had. So you have to be aware, because a lot of restaurants don't even know. And even the big ones that say, oh, we do corporate training, we have our sales sheets that come out. They don't know. You have to follow the salmon seasons to be able to understand what salmon's in season. Now, Alaskan foremost. There is Pacific salmon coming from Washington State and California. Try to stick to Alaskan. Alaskan has the strictest standards for preservation. They monitor the fish that swim in, spawn in, and they only start fishing salmon after a certain amount of salmon have actually spawned to regenerate its population. So there's enough for everyone to eat. So make sure Alaskan, preferably wild Pacific, and you have to be very careful now, Because if you go to the store and buy like some frozen salmons, you'll see Pacific salmon that's caught in China and produced or packaged in China. They're not monitoring their catches. We don't know what's going on in those plants. Those are totally different than you're getting from Wild Alaska. Same with king crabs. We all like king crab. You go to Sam's Club or you go to a restaurant, you're buying king crab. It's not American. Most times it's not even caught in American. It's Russian, different waters, different catch quotas where they just decimate the crab stock. And if you read the labels very carefully, they're actually going to now process it in Russia, or even furthermore, send it to China to get it processed. That's why for me, when I buy a true American king crab, it's going to cost me twice the price that you're going to be able to buy it for in the grocery store. And there's a reason for that, because I'm buying the real deal. I'm not buying something that's caught somewhere else and processed somewhere else. You can't lump king crab all together. You can't lump salmon all together. So now here's the big thing on salmon. Someone says, well, oh, how about organic farm salmon? Wrong, false, doesn't exist. Organic farmed salmon is a self-regulated term. That the fish farms are considering what they consider organic and labeling it as organic. So what they ever want to put out there is what they're going to put out there. There's no formal certification for USDA organic certification for salmon. Now, of course, there are some farms that are better than other farms. So you can't lump all the farms together and say everything's 100% bad. Some farms try to do the right thing. They're better than the other farms. There's going to be less contaminants. The fish are going to have more room to swim. But the bottom line is you cannot duplicate in a farm what you're going to duplicate in the wild. So you are what you eat, and try to eat wild salmon if you like fish. It has all the omega-3s, has that strong antioxidant, that beta-carotenoid, that anazacetin, which is phenomenal for you. They're touting it more than resveratrol now. So know what you eat, and you are what you eat. Catch me at healthychefdude.com or at healthconsciousfood.com. Till next time.